we were as happy of a family as we could be. I always felt very blessed. I had a fantastic marriage, 3 very healthy kids at the time, very successful career. We had been all over the world together, and now the Army had told me that I was on my way to do great things. So when we found out my wife had cancer, it was a shock to all of us. My military training kicked in. I've got an enemy, I've got to protect my family, and I started figuring out how I'm going to win. I needed to be the positive influence in life, keep everybody going. She needed to know that I wasn't going to give up on her and that everything was going to be okay. And it wasn't her fighting cancer, it was us fighting cancer. We did it together. As it progressed, it became a day-to-day fight. Why do I even need to get up in the morning and fight this? I'm not going to win. And I had to be there to tell her, yes, you can. We just got to keep doing this. We got to do what the doctors say. And if we do that, it's going to be okay. At first, I didn't talk to anybody about it. I didn't want people to know what was going on. I had it under control. I could handle this. I became very isolated in what I was thinking and how I was dealing with all that. I was spending a lot of time with my wife, but many times she felt so sick from everything that she couldn't talk, and we would sit together and I'd hold her hand, but we weren't communicating verbally. At some point in time, I probably knew that it wasn't going to be okay, and I just refused to accept it. And she knew at a certain point in time that things weren't going to be okay and that we needed to plan for the worst. And I wouldn't talk about it. I didn't want to talk about it. The cancer had gotten into her spinal fluid, and we both knew that was bad news. And from that point on, she couldn't talk much anymore. At one point in time, I asked the doctors to lower the pain levels or the pain meds so she could communicate. And I brought the kids in, and I wanted them to be able to talk to her and communicate a little bit. And then it very quickly, she was gone weeks after that. She was suffering so much at the end that for us, we were actually happy that she was not hurting anymore. They wanted us to talk. They wanted a lot of counseling. People offered counseling to us. And I talked to my kids, and we tried it, but we realized very quickly if we looked at all of the good things that her life brought to us and the goodness of her life, we didn't have to worry about the badness of it, because there was no badness to it. It was just the reality of how things worked. I think since Linda has passed, and it's been, 6 years now almost, my kids and I are stronger and are closer than we ever were. They have accepted that their mother's gone, but she's not out of their lives. They know that they are loved. I, again, attribute that to my wife and how she prepared us and trained us and taught us to love each other. And I never take for granted that my kids are going to be okay. Now that I have found a new wife, I try to understand people better than I did before. And the only way you do that, and that's probably the greatest thing I learned, was communicating. You need to tell people, I'm hurting right now. I'm dealing with what I saw. There's such a stigma within cultures and the male culture and the military culture that you don't act weak. And because of that, you have to keep it buried. It doesn't go away. And the best way to keep it from becoming a big problem is if you talk about it. So I talk about it now, and I never did before. Everybody that deals with being a soldier or being a caregiver deals with the same problems. Everybody thinks that they're the only ones dealing with it. But if all the caregivers would just get together and just start talking about the challenges and the problems they're having, they would all realize that they're all kind of dealing with the same thing, and nobody's doing it well. They're just all trying to survive the best they can and do the best they can for the person they love. Start talking to people and start listening to other people, and you'll come to realize that you're not in it alone.